my most heartfelt greetings, first of all, and I'd like to welcome you all to our country. I have great pleasure in gathering with you on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the Mediterranean Dialogue, and I wish for a productive and successful visit to each and every one of you. During your time in our country, you will have the chance to visit not only Ankara, but also Hatay province. And you will be visiting one of our provinces, such as Hatay, where different religions, different languages, and sects have been living in peace for centuries. And hopefully, you will be personally witnessing the tolerance atmosphere of our country. In a period where we see widespread cultural racism all around the world, you will have the opportunity to experience an overall scene that provides hope to all humanity in Hatay. And you will more closely witness the challenges that you are faced against as Turkey and our attempts to fight against these challenges. I believe that this visit is extremely important in the sense that you will be able to personally witness the threats that our country, one of the oldest NATO allies, has been facing. And on the other hand, as you know, in the international security environment, there are significant fractures that are occurring. In addition to current threats, we are also having increasing asymmetrical threats such as terrorism, which is directly related to the security of the alliance. And we see more and more occasions where hybrid war methods, which also has a cybersecurity dimension as well, are being employed. In such an environment, the structures, whose raison d'etre is to protect the global security and stability, are having serious blockages and interruptions. And these institutions either cannot make any decisions when it comes to intervening against these problems, or they cannot realize the decisions that they have taken. And the price of such weakness is unfortunately paid by allied countries such as ours that are neighboring the crisis regions and that are paid by the innocent people. Turkey is a state that felt the effect of the threats caused by Syria for the last 8 years. And we have also seen personally the bitter repercussions of this blockade. And we had felt this blockade from economy to safety, from social peace to politics. I'm sure that our Jordanian friend who's among us will understand us in a much better way on this issue, especially when it comes to fight against irregular migration and the threat of terrorism. The extraordinary effort taken by Turkey as a NATO ally are very much evident. And today, we are the country around the world that hosted the highest number of refugees around the world, according to the UN data, with 4 million refugees. And for Syrian refugees, we have spent over $35 billion. We have organized the Euphrates Shield operation to eliminate the threat of Daesh at the source. And in a period where there are many slanders against Turkey, we have been the single NATO member country that fought with Daesh in the Syrian field, man to man, and we were the only NATO country that devastated this terrorist organization. With the Olive Branch operation, we have liberated the Afrin region from the occupation by the Syrian arm of PKK, and we ensured the return of around 320,000 Syrian refugees to the safe zones that have been cleared of terrorism. And these regions, which were under the discussion of the terrorist organizations up to a couple of years ago, have now peace prevailing thanks to the efforts and sacrifices of Turkey. Again, we have taken an initiative in Idlib, which was on the verge of a great humanitarian disaster, and we ensured peace again. And just as we have prevented the death of hundreds and thousands of Syrian innocent people, we have also prevented irregular migration flow that would be deeply affecting Europe. Distinguished friends, the essence of NATO is the solidarity within the alliance. We are the states that are under the same security umbrella. Although we are located in different continents and different regions geographically, we share the same destiny when it comes to threats against our countries. And expecting the members of the alliance to resolve their serious security challenges, such as terrorism, single-handedly is against the reason of existence of NATO. Turkey is surrounded by crisis regions all around and is now at the junction of multidimensional threats such as terrorism, organized crimes, and irregular migration. And our country was single-handedly working against these problems in the name of the international community. And also we had to fight against FETÖ, that is the perpetrator of the coup attempt on 15th of July. And we also have to fight against PKK, their arm in Syria, and PYD, YPG, Daesh as well. And so far we have martyred more than we have actually lost 40,000 civilian citizens and soldiers to the PKK terrorism. And in the last 3 days, 7 soldiers and 2 civilian citizens have been martyred by the Syria and Iraq extensions of the PKK terrorist organizations. Daesh continues to threaten our country and target our country with videos that they are publishing. And FETÖ, that martyred 251 of our citizens on the night of the 15th of July, is carrying out its destructive activities against our country in foreign countries in an uninterrupted manner. Unfortunately, some of our allies are providing some opportunities to the leaders of this terrorist organization or to the members of this organization to flee from justice. The Islamophobia and xenophobia that turned into a plague in Western societies is threatening not only the Turkish citizens, but also the hundreds and millions of people's security of life and their property. The heinous terrorist acts that occurred in Sri Lanka and New Zealand have once again shown the dimensions that this problem reached. Unless a measure is taken, unless there is a common stance against terrorism, the scourge of terrorism will only continue to grow. We are expecting only one thing from our allies. We are expecting our friends at NATO to act within the spirit of the alliance and to protect the founding values of the alliance. And we are expecting our allies to take measures against the structures that they also themselves accepted as terrorist organizations. And with the understanding of the fact that friends would give you the bitter news first, I have to express the following reality. There is no rightful reason for providing several equipment to the terrorist organizations that are threatening our country, that are threatening the lives and properties of our citizens. There is no explanation that they are being equipped by our allies, that they are given trucks full of arms and ammunitions, and no explanation whatsoever that their leaders are welcomed in some of the countries at the highest level with red carpets. These wrong steps taken under the guise of fight against Daesh can never be legitimized. And also the legitimate rights of Turkey and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus on the energy sources in Eastern Mediterranean cannot be debatable at all. And our country is determined to protect its own rights and the rights of the Turkish Cypriots. And we are expecting NATO to respect Turkey's rights in this process and to support us so that we can prevent more tensions. There could be certain different approaches of our countries or different opinions in certain areas. However, fighting against joint threats in a united and consistent manner is the priority condition of this alliance. Any problems that occur in this area will unfortunately cause the most damage to the alliance and the reputation of the alliance. Distinguished guests, the year 2019 is the 25th anniversary of the Mediterranean Dialogue, and it is also the 70th anniversary of the establishment of NATO and 67th anniversary of Turkey's accession to the alliance. And Turkey is a country that works in solidarity with its allies and provides the most comprehensive contributions to NATO as it did during the time of the Cold War. And in addition to Turkey's role in Bosnia, Kosovo, and Macedonia in the NATO missions, Turkey has also adopted a very important role in the construction of peace in Afghanistan. And the NATO mission in Afghanistan was commanded 2 times by our country. And the EU has taken over from NATO the IU4 Althea mission in Bosnia, and we are the only non-EU member, but NATO member that is providing contribution. And our country will also take over the command of the High Readiness Joint Task Force Command of NATO in 2021. And in a period where the INF agreement will no longer be applicable, the missile defense systems will gain even more importance. And of course, we will also take the necessary steps required by regional security and stability for our national interests as well, while we maintain our strong position within NATO. And I believe it would be useful to underline one reality. Turkey is Turkey's relationships with different countries or regions are not alternatives to each other, but they are complementary. And we definitely do not condone the attempts to further trigger such a discussion on the basis of some current issues, such as S-400s, which fall under the sovereignty rights of our country. Within the NATO alliance, the steps that we are taking to provide for our national security should be considered again on the same basis. And the attempts to put Turkey under very narrow patterns and speculating about our tendencies means that those that are speculating do not understand us, our history, or our geographical location. While we continue our contributions in the strongest manner possible for the security and stability of the Euro-Atlantic region, we also attach the same level of importance to ensuring peace in the Mediterranean region that we consider as the cradle of civilizations. And as a Mediterranean ally, Turkey, that is in the southeastern part of the alliance, our partners under the Mediterranean dialogue are also our neighbors. And I would like to state that we attach great importance to the Mediterranean dialogue platform, and my Minister of Foreign Affairs will be sharing with you some of our opinions. We will continue to develop further with our new ideas. We will fulfill whatever is required by us, and I'd like to once again underline the importance that we attach to our cooperation with our Mediterranean dialogue partners and our NATO obligations. Rather than focusing on short-term gains, we need to focus more medium and long-term interests, and I believe we can make NATO stronger in a world that is becoming more unstable. I'd like to welcome Secretary General and you, distinguished guests, once again, and I wish you success during your contacts in Ankara and Hatay. Thank you very much.